Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our Let's Chat mentorship session. This is the first Let's Chat session of 2022 from CS for Success. My name is Abril Vela, and I am a co-founder and principal consultant at CS for Success. We are an education consultancy focused on computer science education within the high school space. We aim to make computer science education more inclusive, accessible, and equitable for all students. We are excited to have our guests joining us today for a very important and valuable conversation about a resource that will make the tech workforce more accessible for the students that we are serving. We have Ellie King, who is our guest moderator today. Ellie King is the co-founder of Equal It, a mission-driven business working to diversify tech teams through refined talent acquisition, complemented by diversity and inclusion consulting. As an Azure Heroes inclusive leader, Ellie is passionate about amplifying the voices of women and non-dominant groups who are doing amazing work in tech to create relatable role models to inspire others to either pursue or continue a career in STEM. Ellie enjoys sharing knowledge and inspiration on all things career in tech, diversity, equity, and inclusion through public speaking, mentoring, facilitating workshops, and hosting the Equal Inspired podcast. Ellie will be chatting with Jonah Andersson today. Jonah is a Filipina-Swedish full-stack software engineer, cloud developer, and Microsoft Azure MVP in Sweden. She works as an enterprise software engineer consultant at Forefront. She studied computer science and agile system development, which makes her very passionate about tech. She likes solving challenging problems, programming, and has a great interest in developing new cloud technologies in Microsoft Azure. She believes in continuous learning, collaboration, and being allies with the tech communities, and is also the founder and community leader of Azure User Group Sweden. She shares technical knowledge at work and with tech communities through public speaking and by mentoring others. Jonah is also passionate about making a difference by advocating and inspiring gender equality, diversity, and inclusion in tech. Thank you so much to both of you for being here with us today. I'm excited for this conversation, and I'm going to hand it over to Jonah to tell us a little bit more about herself.
Yes, thank you so much, April, for the great introduction and great to be here today. Yes, so let me just share my screen here. Let's see. All right, so I hope that you can see my screen right now. So hi, everyone. I hope that you're having a great morning if you're watching from the States, and if you're watching from Europe, I hope that you're having a great evening today. So I will be, before we start our chat about mentorship, I would like to share about my tech story and how I got started with mentorship in tech. And I would like to thank you, CS for Success, for this collaboration together, along with Equal IT and Ellie King, for organizing this event together. So I'm very excited for this today. And before we start, I would like to introduce myself. So my name is Jonah Andersson. I was already introduced by April, but I want to dig deeper a bit. Who am I? So I work as a software developer as on my day job. And when it comes to programming, I code full stack C# programming language in .NET. So on my day job, I sit a lot on my computer solving problems every day and building something new for systems that users of those systems can use in their daily jobs or daily lives. So that's what I do. So I solve problems and build things. And I'm also a continuous learner, which means that I devote time during the day or during the week to learn something new, because I believe that we need to be learning every day and growing. I mean, learning something new is part of growing as a person. And I'm also a mentor, which means that on my free time, I devote I devote and volunteer to mentor different kinds of friends and people who needs mentoring and help and guidance with my skills and experience. And I also created a new community here in Sweden and became a community leader. And since we're on CS for Success, I'm also proud to say that I'm a computer science graduate. I studied computer science, and that was one of the stepping stones why I am standing here right now in front of you speaking about tech. So on my daytime job, I work at Forefront Consulting as a consultant, and I'm also a Microsoft MVP for Azure. So you will be able to see me speaking and sharing a lot about the technologies that I'm passionate about. So I want to share with you about my tech stories and why I'm doing tech mentorship. And I like reading books. That's one of my hobbies. And one of my favorite authors is Stephen Covey from the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of the habits that I really liked in that book was begin with the end in mind. So I'm starting my presentation right now by telling you that I'm going to share my tech story and why I do mentorship. And of course, the conversation, exciting conversation that I will be having with Ellie soon. So I want to start by sharing about this one, courage. There was once few years ago back in the Philippines, I dared something that I didn't dare do before, and that is going on a zip line. It's like I had the fear of going on heights. But then when I saw this poster or quote on that place where I'm supposed to to go on a zip line, it says, courage is doing what you're afraid to do. And when I reflect back, this was like 10, 12 years ago in the Philippines, and I did it because I dared do it. And when I reflect back to this quote in this picture, I realized that it really helped me take that courage, because if I didn't if I didn't dare do the zip line, then I will still be I will still be afraid of heights. But now, since I dare do that 10 years ago or many years ago, I will not be afraid doing it again because I've tried it. So my point in this quote, that's why I'm sharing it right now, is that everything of my tech story, it's all about courage and daring to do what I was afraid to do. So my tech story, so this is like the quick highlight of my story before our chat. So my story started in the Philippines. I was born in the 1980s in the Philippines. To those who don't know where Philippines is, it's located in the Southeast Asia, a tropical country in Asia, Southeast Asia. And I was born in the Philippines, and I grew up near the ocean with my family. So I remember when I was a kid, I was studying in grade school. I sometimes like go barefoot with my backpack and my books and go barefoot near the ocean. So that's how my story started. So it started from the Philippines. And then in the 1990s, after grade school and college, after grade school, I decided to study computer science, and I became a computer science scholar. And as a teenager, I was actually very shy, and I was scared to go on stage with my classmates because I was scared that people would laugh at me if I present something. But something changed there, actually, because when I was before I got the scholarship, I really wanted to study civil engineering. But then my parents or my family were not rich. They couldn't afford to send me to school then. In the Philippines back then, education or going to college was not free. So what happened is that I really wanted to do something different, something unusual. So I took the courage to take a scholarship in my high school or local community. And I got very blessed and lucky to be on the top 100 scholars to get a scholarship in a private college. But it wasn't civil engineering, which was my first dream job. So I decided I took the closest one, and that is computer science. And since then, I started to love tech and computers and learning more about binary codes and everything. And 1990s was also the day or the year then when internet was pretty new back then. So so that really excited me, and that was the first stepping stone of my story in tech. And then in 2004, after I was studying college, learning computer science, that was also the year that I had my ups and downs in life, because that was also the year that I was graduating my computer science course in college. And that was also the year that my mother died of breast cancer. And I was just 18 or 19 back then. So I had my life challenges. And as you can see there, 2004 was both blessings, good things, and also challenges in life, in a way that I became a breadwinner of my family as well. So I ended up taking care of my sisters and brothers and took the first job I could get in my city back then. And so in 2006, I started working, gathering my first job. And my first job isn't a programmer. So even though I'm supposed to be working as a programmer, but due to a situation that I had to take care of my sisters and brothers and my mother's death, I had to take the first job that I could in that city. And my first job was working as a technical support for an American company. And I was very happy to have that job to supply the needs of my family. And then about 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I decided to move to Sweden. And when I moved to Sweden, I had my challenges as well. I had to learn Swedish. And I also wanted to follow my dreams and continue what I started in the Philippines in the 1990s in studying and working with computers. So I studied more Agile system development, which is in C#, and also Java development in Sweden. And it took like 3 years for me to kind of like get landed in a new country. So I learned Swedish, I learned new programming languages until I started my job in 2005 as a software developer and IT consultant. In my first job as an IT consultant, I had my challenges there as well, being a woman in tech, coming from a different background, different culture, moving to Europe. It was a challenge, but I am very thankful that I was able to cope it up. Just like what I said in the quote when I did my zip line, courage is daring to things that you never done before. So I'm glad that I kept that like quote with me through the years since the 90s and through all my challenges. So now at the present, I'm very humbled and also proud of all my achievements because of the hard work that I put into it and the heart and the passion that I have in what I do. So I'm a software engineer now. I got awarded last year as a Microsoft MVP for the technology that I'm passionate about, Azure. And I also I'm very passionate about doing volunteer and community work and sharing knowledge through public speaking. And now also I'm writing my book because of that passion to share. And of course, as I said, I'm a person that learns every day. So as I go through from the present to the future, I reach my goals. And I'm a person that will never forget what I've been through in the past in order to reach where I am right now. So that's my tech story to tech. And I'm not shy to share to you how I went through in my life, if it is something that will inspire you or will inspire others as well. So this is how it was. I like pictures. I think I love photography. So I found some old pictures. So here you'll see like the beach or this the beach where I used to live or go barefoot when I was little. And then in 2005, there wasn't any computers. So I finished computer science without having my own laptop. So I had to go to the internet cafe in order to do my homework. And then back then there was like the CTR or like the tube computers back then. And I had the 3.5 floppy disk to save my homeworks. And then there's like a memory of my mother and my first job and my family photos as well with my siblings. And this one is all of my 4 siblings doing I love you language, because one of my youngest sister is deaf and she can only talk through sign language. So I'm very blessed and happy to have my family and the challenges I went through in my life. So I spoke about books, writing a book. So I'm currently working on my free time on weekends, my book about Azure, one of the technologies that I'm passionate about. So it's in progress, and recently it went on release recently. So if you want to check, read it, there are the first 2 chapters I think are available for public to read on O'Reilly's platform. And I want to share about mentorship briefly, that for me, having a mentor doesn't mean that you're weak. It just proves that you are humble enough, you're smart and driven enough to move forward and succeed. So mentoring has been a key inspiration for me to do more and be inspired and be an inspiration to others as well. So this was me when I was working on the side as a programming coach. So when I was coaching programming to kids in school and the youth, I saw that there in schools there's already lack of female and girls interested in tech, and this is one of the reasons why I decided one day, like a breaking change in my life, that I want to use all I can, what I can, my experience to inspire others by being a role model and mentor others in my free time, because that's where I gain my energy and my inspiration as well. And this is my small way of making a difference to the world. So I believe that is my calling. And for me, mentorship is very important because it's a relationship between 2 people where mentor and mentee can share together, where you can be yourself and your mentors are your connectors and they are your trusted advisor as well. And we need mentorship in tech because we need each other to inspire, especially in tech where we lack diversity and equality in this branch. I myself is a living testament of that. And it also helps us grow together and where we can collaborate. And lastly, I want to share why I do what I do. It's because I want to share my skills, as mentioned, my experience, both the good and the bad, in inspiring others to be the best of themselves, that we can do amazing things together. One example of this is that when I was young, I forgot to mention in my story, when I was young, I'm very afraid to go on stage. As I mentioned, I'm very shy to go public speaking, but I'm standing here today talking with you publicly because of my purpose, because of my why. I want to use it to inspire you all and others that you know. So, and lastly, I want to say or share that there's a good quote of Helen Keller that alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. So thank you so much for listening to my short story. And if you need to connect with me, feel free to contact me on this presentation or the contact info. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Jonah. It was incredibly inspiring. So grateful for you sharing your insights and your journey so far, and a real credit your resilience that you've had and the courage. And I love that you've made that a theme, because I certainly feel that when it comes to mentorship, things like courage and resilience are such important attributes. So thank you so much, Jonah, for sharing.
You're welcome. I hope that you got inspired.
Definitely. I'm always inspired by you, Jonah. You know that. What you do is fantastic. And you've shared some really valuable insights already on mentorship, but also research shows that mentors are 5 times more likely to be promoted than those without a mentor. And also, on average, mentoring programs boost the representation of underrepresented groups by 9% to 24%. So through our own personal stories, we can see the value of mentorship, but through studies as well. And I'm excited to dive into this Q&A with you now. And I just want to say that this is a very interactive conversation. So any questions you have, please feel free to put them in the comments. We want to hear from you. We want you to interact as well. But something I'd like to kick things off with, Jonah, is if we think about mentorship, what do you feel really makes someone a mentor? If we think about characteristics and the kind of values that someone should be having.
Yes, that's a good question. Thank you. So I believe one of the not just one, but one of the characteristics that a mentor should have, I believe, is openness to new relationships and being vulnerable as well. And the third characteristic that I believe a mentor should have is to have that passion to help and to share experiences to others. It's like, for me, being a mentor is like a friendship. It's like, it's a friendship where you reach out to another person, or the other person reach out to you, and you build that relationship together. Like, it's a two-way relationship where you build each other up. So for me, it's about trust, patience, and understanding each other, just like a good relationship should be. Yes.
Brilliant. There's some fantastic characteristics. And if you think about the commitment that mentorship means and needs, what would you look for here as well? If you think about the type of time that it takes to do this and to commit, what kind of things should people look out for here?
Yes, good question. I have a mentor is like it's like there's an abbreviation I have for that. For M, for example, in mentor, it's about mission. Like, first you need to set your mission. Like, for example, you get connected with your mentee or mentor, you decide to go on mentorship together. But first, in the M of mentorship, you need to start first and ask, what's the mission that you have in your mentorship? So once you have identified your mission, then the next step would be the E, which means that you need to engage together. You have to, it's like having a relationship, you're engaged. You decide that you're going to do this together. It can be a short term or long term. So, for example, you decide, for example, in my experience, I've had mentorship that lasted for 6 months. Sometimes it's like 1 year. And now I'm having a mentorship with my colleague, because I do internal mentorship at work as well. So I do it like for 2 years while we're still colleagues. So engagement, the E in mentorship, it's about engagement, or being engaged in that mission that you're gonna do together. Depending on what that purpose or mission is. And then the M there is also in mentorship is, for me, is gaining network. Because when you have a mentor and you have a mentee, you start a new relationship. So it's like a connection, a network. And through your mentor, you get connections also through his or her network, and also the other way around as well. So that's the end. You get more network, you get connection, you expand your network, you gain more friends. And then the T in the mentor, I think I count it as a trust, because mentorship is a trusting relationship. You cannot be in a mentorship without being trustworthy mentee or trustworthy mentor. mentor. So it's like you decide together that we're gonna trust each other. We can be vulnerable with each other. I can share this to you, and I trust that you're not gonna gossip about it, because we have that bond. We engage. And then the O is like, for me, it's like the opportunity. And mentor, O in mentor is opportunity to grow together and to learn from each other. Because for me, mentorship is not just mentoring about tech, but it's mentoring about career. It's like a holistic approach to everything, guidance to everything, about life. I have my life experience, so I know that I cannot just mentor about tech. I know I can mentor about life challenges and being resilient as well. And so it's opportunity to grow together in any way in our lives. And also R is like renewing, or it's like we started with the M, which is your mission, and then in the R at the end of mentor, you kind of like in agile system development in my work, there's like what we call, in every project there's like a 2-week sprint, and then there's like the end of the delivery, there's like a retrospective. So in the R in mentorship, it's like in the end, for example, you decided to do mentorship for 6 months. And then the end of 6 months, you kind of like go back together to the mission that you decided to get, a purpose, and then check how did it go through, what we have learned together. Does the mentee or mentor want to continue the relationship, or the mentee wants to move forward to another mentor? So those are my input about mentor. Yes, I hope you learned something, or think it's interesting.
Definitely. That's a fantastic way to look at it. I've never heard of that approach before, and it's super valuable, Jonah. So I'll be remembering that for sure, and keeping that in my mind. So you've mentioned a little bit about some of the things that make a good mentor, but how do we even find a mentor? That can be quite an overwhelming, daunting thing. And again, I think it comes into courage, finding that courage to ask someone to be a mentor. So from your own experience, what recommendations can you make in finding a mentor?
Great question. Thank you for that. I believe that one of the great ways to find mentors is, of course, through the network that we have, the internet that we have. But if you're new to like tech and everything, like for example, if you're a student who don't know where to start, so I think I would suggest like find someone that you already know who might be good at something that you're wondering about, and ask that person, him or her, what he or she can do with what you're wondering about. Of course, we also have the network like LinkedIn. We also have nonprofit organizations that we have, women in tech organizations. It's even Equal IT, your company, Ellie, also is helping diversity and equality. And CS for Success also is doing a lot of work in helping and reaching out to those who needs. So I think one of the best ways to reach out is to find role models that you see online. And it's hard to find one online if you don't know how to search. And I worked as a search engine optimization expert also in my previous job. So my advice for those that don't know how to look is to use the hashtag on the internet. So if you use hashtag women in tech, hashtag mentoring or mentorship, then you will be able to find some, through those keywords, you will be able to find results like women in tech, or even role models that you can follow. And of course, as I said, courage. It takes courage to start something spectacular. So if you see someone in LinkedIn, for example, that might be a good role model and a prospect mentor, just be open and message that person that, hey, I'm really inspired by what you do, and I would like to know how you've done that. What are your secrets to your success? And maybe it starts a conversation, and who knows, that person might be your mentor someday, because I think those that are successful person, I think most of them are humble enough to reach out back if you ask. So you get an answer if you ask.
Yeah, that's so important. I'm definitely a big believer in don't ask, don't get. And if you never try, you'll never know. What really is the worst that could happen? If you're being quite genuine in the approach that you take when you're looking for this mentor, I really feel that it can only be positive for you. But it comes in with resilience as well, right? Maybe you won't get a response from absolutely everyone, but keep going and keep churning away, and you'll certainly find somebody that will suit you. Something that I can recommend as well is building up a short list of potential mentors, and really aim for the stars. Even with this, if there was like some real celebrities that you aspire to like have as a mentor, put them on this list. And as you're going through your journey on social media, if you see anyone that really inspires you, any, like Jonah said, friends or people that you know, put them on this list. So you're really building a solid short list of potential mentors that you can then go through as well. And just make that a continuous thing. Maybe spend every Friday afternoon on this list, just adding to it, trying to network through this list as well and keeping on top of it. Because I think that mentorship can enrich you in so many ways, and it's just important to be quite persistent with it and resilient on the topic of today's conversation. And what's worked really well for you, Jonah, as well? You mentioned one way to reach out, which is just being quite genuine and like a LinkedIn message. But has there been any other ways that people have reached out to you that were quite interesting and caught your attention out of interest?
Yes, interesting. As you notice on my LinkedIn, I'm very open to share knowledge. So the more I share, the more I gain followers. And one of my mentorship that I've been, aside from voluntarily signing up for mentorship programs, I had a mentee where it was recommended by a contact, a friend of a friend. And it was because that contact in LinkedIn suggested me to her, my mentee, to help her with guidance in choosing a career in tech. For example, my mentee, in that connection, I had, she works as a language teacher in Stockholm, and she wanted to learn about JavaScript or a programming language and don't know where to start, don't know where to switch careers. So you gain also connections or mentorship, unexpected relationship or friendship through your contacts. So that's why I mentioned the end of mentor is networking, because you gain friends, you gain connections. So that's also one way that's good for starting up mentorship.
Fantastic. So we've found our mentor, we've approached them, it's gone really well, and they're feeling positive to come on this journey with us. But how, as a mentee, can we ensure that a mentor truly understands your situation?
A good question. I think that's a great one. I think I haven't prepared for that, and nobody asked me that question before. But I think a mentee can know if a mentor understands you, if you can feel that your mentor is sympathetic and empathetic about what you're sharing. Because I think as a mentor, I'm a mentor, I think it's important for us mentors to have that active listening, that you listen from the heart. For example, I didn't want to mention the exact name of my mentee, but there was one time that I cried after a session with one of my mentees, because I was really touched of her story, that I could relate to it. So that's like one example that you're a mentor because you're there to help and inspire. That's the common expectations of the public or everyone. But as a mentor, you also learn and get inspired by the stories of others. So when I heard her story, I really like, my heart really like was overwhelming and was very inspired that I really want to help her. I want to make a difference in her life. So that's how the active listening, if your mentor is really listening, because she listens to you from the heart. Yes.
That's really touching and super inspiring. I think that as a mentee going into any mentorship, don't shy away from opening up and don't fear this mentorship, because also, as you've said, Jonah, you learn so much being a mentor. So it works both ways. You're going to also enrich their career development. So don't fear that, which I think sometimes we can do, fearing of opening up. And how do you feel a mentee can prepare, let's say, for their first ever mentoring session? What are your tips here? Because that can also be a little bit of a daunting thing, going into the unknown, not necessarily sure how it works, what to ask. It can be quite confusing.
Yes, that's correct. I agree, especially if you're just getting started. So I think first, once you have found the right mentor for you, and then you started connecting, I think the first thing that mentee needs to reflect about is to know. I think the good start is not knowing where to go, because that means if you identified that yourself as a mentee, oh, I don't know what to do, but I want to do this. I need someone to help me. And you have the mentor, and you can explain it to your mentor that, hey, I really want to do this, but I don't know where to go. I think that's a good start already, because you identified it. And then once you find the mentor, I think the first step is to get to know each other. Because, just like in any relationships, it takes two to tango, they said. So you need to I think the first step here is, I have this mission, and I have this, I'm starting a partnership and relationship with my mentor. I need to know if we click. It's like spending time first session with your mentor. It's to get to know each other and identify, are we matching our skills, interests together? Can my mentor help me? And vice versa, because it's, as I said, as I mentioned, it's an engagement. It's a commitment together. So if we have a mission to grow together in 6 months, it's a commitment to meet regularly. Do we want our session every once a month, every 2 weeks? And so on. Yes.
So do you feel it's really important for a mentee to set the expectations of what they need from a mentor in terms of time commitment and how frequently they can do this? Do you think this is vital when you have that first conversation, to set that plan and expectation?
Yes, I think so also, because especially if you don't know where you want to go, of course, the mentor can guide you, but it also, it helps the mentor to know what you really want to do. So in my mentorship experience, usually in every meeting, for example, I mentor a coworker. And I usually don't do the agenda for our mentorship. It's her that sets the expectations. First, we need to know, is it a career mentorship that she needs or he needs, or is it a mentorship for programming programming language that she's having challenges about? So it's good to have that clear expectations and the plan for that, since of course, like, the mentee and the mentor have their own jobs also to do. So it's good to have that plan as well.
Certainly, and having those calls booked maybe in advance so you can clear time in your diaries, because like you say, it's a time commitment. And I think it's important that when you commit to something, that you're showing up as a mentee, or if you have something which means you can't attend an appointment, just give the mentor some time in advance. Be respectful as well of the time, and I think that works both ways, just being conscious and mindful of that. You mentioned, Jonah, that asking questions is important to get to know your mentor. Can you give some examples of maybe what mentees should look to ask mentors to get a feel for them and if they could be right for them?
No, that's a great question, because the question that mentees can ask depends on what kind of mentorship mission that they've decided together. But I think for one example that I have, I mentored someone who asked me, what's the difference between working in an IT, this is about tech mentorship, working in an IT consulting company compared to working as a developer in a product company. So that was like a good example as well of questions to ask. And also, I think asking questions about how your mentor got into tech or tech, like successful stories, because your mentor, like me, for example, I do mentorship because I have an experience to share. And probably your mentor that you chose to have has also his or her story to share with you that maybe can enlighten you, that you can also like inspire you and maybe share to others as inspiration as well. And of course, there's no like A to C questions by the book. I think you can ask, if you have the trusting relationship, you can ask even the stupid questions to your mentor, and your mentor won't laugh at you because you're like in that vulnerable relationship. Your mentor maybe can make mistakes, you can make mistakes, nobody judge each other. So it should be like that. It should be a welcoming place where you can be yourself. That's what I find it. Yes. Nobody can judge you if you're in a mentorship. It should be comfortable, like you're having a friend, your best friend, like that.
Definitely. Yeah, it's having that safe space, right? Mm-hmm. You can share maybe mistakes that you've made throughout your day and not have that fear of being laughed at or judged, but actually being helped and being given solutions. So it's important to have that safe, comfortable environment. As a mentor, what are your expectations from a mentee? If you think about the mindset, the attitude, how a mentee should conduct themselves, what are your expectations, Jonah?
Yes. For me as a mentor, my expectations is like I expect my mentees to grow as well. So for example, if we've had several sessions together and we talked about certain topic or something that he or she needs to improve maybe, and as a mentor I noticed that mentee is not doing or making progress for herself, then that would be a disappointment, I think, for me. And that would make me question, have I done something wrong? Could I do something better? But as I said, it's a two-way relationship and it's a collaboration. So if you, as a mentor, you did your best, but your mentee is not helping himself or herself, then there might be something that needs to change or something needs to be improved. For example, I had a negative experience as well with mentorship, where I had a mentee in short time that used our mentorship to have me work for her programming assignments, that I do the work for her, like a study buddy. But that isn't mentorship is about. So it went short, but I had that expectation, and my expectations were not met, and I questioned myself if I did something wrong, or I tried my best to help, but that it's like a relationship. The other person in that relationship maybe didn't understand what's the mission is really about. So it can happen. So this is also something that we can be transparent and open about, that all mentorship cannot be perfect. So sometimes it fails, just like other relationship. But that's the good thing about mentorship, because you go on, you continue. So until you find a good match, for example.
Yeah, and it ties in as well with that trust, right? And
yes,
respectful of the time, respectful of the feedback as well, because as a mentee, we may sometimes hear things that we don't really like, some constructive feedback that or some reflections on ourselves that we need to change. And it's about just embracing that and having an open mind and knowing that your mentor has your best interest at heart, and they're leveraging their own life experiences to help you. So not to go in there with like a defensive mindset, right? Or that my mentor's out to get me. They're here to help. Embrace it, work with your mentor, and it will be really successful. I know that we are a little bit stumped for time, but Jonah, I'd love to just hear just a few quick lessons learned for you through being a mentor and being a mentee.
Yes. Lessons learned is that I'm. It's hard to explain, but I'm very, very inspired to be mentoring others, and I hope that every mentee that got connected with me got inspiration and will also pay it forward. I've seen some of the women in tech that I mentor. They're already working as software engineers, so I hope that they will pay it forward back to those who need it someday. Yes.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing, Jonah. And Avril, it'd be great to bring you up as well. It's been a really enjoyable session. And like we say, if anyone has any questions right now for Jonah, please put them in the chat, and Jonah will be very happy to answer those.
Yes, and feel free to connect as well.
Likewise.
Thank you to both of you. This was such a great conversation. I think you touched on such amazing points, and you definitely provided new insights that I hadn't thought about before. As someone who's been both a mentee and a mentor, I know that I agree with so many of the points that you made, and I think it's a learning type of relationship, right? The more mentors you have and the more people you mentor, you start to find the things that work for you and don't work for you. But I'm really grateful for you sharing your time with us today, and to provide this type of information to folks who I know this will definitely play a large role in their success as they pursue these types of careers. So thank you everyone for tuning in and sharing some of your day with us. We hope to see you at future CS for Success Let's Chat sessions. You can learn more at csforsuccess.com, and we will continue to share information about upcoming sessions on our social. Keep an eye out for information about how to stay in touch with Jonah and Ellie from us, and we hope to see you back soon. Thank you.